It's that card girl, and today we're going to be taking a look at the One Piece card games ST19, a black starter deck with Smoker as the leader. I have been anxiously awaiting this video because from decks 15 through 20, this is the one that I enjoy playing the most. So let's snap right into this. So we have our deck, which is our leader, 50 cards and 10 Dawn. And then our PRB01 that we'll save for later. Inside our deck we have our leader Smoker with 5 life and 5,000 power, 2 copies of 5 cost 6,000 power 1k counter Tashigi, 2 copies of 4 cost 6,000 power Hina, 4 copies of the 6 cost 8k power Smoker, 2 copies of the 1 cost 1k power 1k counter Sengoku, 4 copies of the 3 cost 4k power 1k counter Monkey D. Garp, 4 copies of the 3 cost 4k power 1k counter Kobe, 4 copies of our 1 cost no power 2k counter Tsuru, 4 copies of our 2 cost 2k power 1k counter Don Quixote Rosanada, 4 copies of our 4 cost 6k power 1k counter Jaguar D. Sol, 4 copies of the 3 cost 3k power 1k counter Helmeppo, 4 copies of the 3 cost 5k power 1k counter Yamakaji, 4 copies of our 1 cost event Ice Age, 4 copies of the 5 cost 5k power 2k counter Virgo, and 4 copies of the 2 cost 3k power 1k counter Brand New, and our 10 Dawn cards. So to start, we have our leader Smoker, who if you attach 1 Dawn to him, lets you give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1 cost during this turn. And then if there's a character with a cost of 0, he gains 1,000 power during the turn. This takes place during your main phase and only once per turn. So you're going to want to get one of your opponent's characters down to at least 1 cost before activating this effect, so you get the plus 1,000 from the Dawn, and then give minus 1 to your opponent's characters with a cost of 1, so you get an additional 1k to your power, bringing Smoker up to 7,000 power. Sengoku's on-play effect is to trash 2 black navy cards from your hand, and then if your leader has the navy type, which Smoker does, you draw 3 cards. Brand New lets you look at 3 cards from the top of your deck and reveal up to 1 navy type card other than Brand New and add it to your hand, and then you trash the rest when you play them. Both of these cards are nice, decently cheap searchers. Monkey D. Garp is a blocker who once per turn during your main phase lets you place 1 card from your trash at the bottom of your deck and then give one of your opponent's characters minus 1 cost for the turn. So he's good to help you get your opponent's character cost down and to help with your leader's effect. Hina has a once per turn effect during your main phase as well that has you place 1 card from your trash at the bottom of your deck and then give 1 rested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. So you can use her to give a Dawn you've already rested to your leader to, again, help get his effect. If you give her a Dawn, she gains plus 4 to her cost during your opponent's turn, which is nice if you're playing against someone whose deck uses costs for effect, like another Smoker. You'll have a better chance of her staying on the board that way. Both Garp and Hina are good to keep replenishing your deck so you don't run out of cards, causing you to lose. Yamakaji and Jaguar D. Sol are both characters with no effects but decent power for their cost. If you attach 1 Dawn to Virgo, then he cannot be KO'd in battle. Don Quixote Rosanade is a 2 cost blocker you can get out early in the game. And then we have Tashigi, who has an on-play effect where if your leader is Smoker, you can give one of your opponent's characters -4 to their cost during that turn. There's also a once per turn effect that activates during your main phase, where you can trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. However, you can only trigger this effect on the turn Tashigi is played. I figure this is listed as 2 separate effects, so you can get your on-play effect to take an opponent's character's cost down by 4, and then trigger your once per turn effect to then just trash the character if you brought it down to 0. And don't forget, if you give your smoker leader a Dawn in between those 2 effects and swing with him, he'll have 7k power. You're going to learn pretty quickly that this deck is all about combos. Our event Ice Age has a main phase effect allowing you to give up to one of your opponent's characters -5 cost during that turn. It's pretty great for just 1 cost. If you draw it from your life cards, its trigger effect lets you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Tsuru, like Tashigi and Ice Age, lets you give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during the turn she's played. These 3 cards are all great to help lower your opponent's character cost to be able to get to your leader's effect. This character smoker has an on-play effect where you trash 1 black navy type card from your hand to make it where up to 2 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less can't attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. It's great for when you don't have a blocker in play or you don't want your opponent to get an effect from attacking. Kobe's on play lets you trash 1 card from your hand, then KO up to one of your opponent's cards with a cost of 3 or less. Helmeppo, when attacking, allows you to give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. Then, if there's a character with a cost of 0, he gains plus 2k power during this battle, thus turning him into a 5k power card. So that's all of the cards included in the deck. You can bust out some pretty great combos with what's included once you get the hang of the deck. Now, let's see what upgrade cards we've got to really get some combos rolling. This 1 cost Navy HQ stage card from Starter Deck 6 has an on-play effect that lets you give one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during that turn, and as long as your leader has the Navy type, which again Smoker does, you can rush your stage and get the same effect during your main phase each turn. You can stack the -1 you give a character with your Navy HQ with the -5 you give with Ice Age to give a character -6 to their cost. Helmeppo from Starter Deck 6 is 2 cost and has 3000 power and a 1000 counter. On play, you give one of your opponent's characters -3 to their cost for the turn. Also from Starter Deck 6 is this 3 cost Tashigi with 4000 power and a 2000 counter. During your main phase, you can rest this card and give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during the turn. Brook from EBO1 has a cost of 3 and 4000 power with a 1000 counter. He has an effect that is both triggered on play and when attacking that allows you to give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during the turn. Then you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So you could use the 3 of these cards together to get a 6 cost character of your opponent's off the board. Just make sure to watch out for KO effects. Borsellino out of OPO2 is 4 cost, 5000 power, and has a 1000 counter. He is a blocker that gains plus 1000 power during your opponent's turn and can't be KO'd by effects. So while he has 5000 power during your turn, he's a 6k blocker during your opponent's. Out of OPO5, Rebecca is 4 cost, has no attack, but does have a 1000 counter. She's a blocker and on play lets you add up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 to 7 other than Rebecca from your trash to your hand. Then you play up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. She's a great way to get a card back you weren't quite done with when your opponent took it out, and then you get a free play out of it too. Kuzan comes from OPO2 with a cost of 4 and 5000 power. On play, you draw a card, and when attacking, you give one of your opponent's characters -4 cost for the turn. A searcher with style. T-Bone from EBO1 is 5 cost, 5000 power, and has a 2000 counter that lets you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less on play. Make sure you use other effects to get a character's cost down before playing this card if you're wanting that on-play effect. OPO4 Sabo is 5 cost, 6000 power, and a 1000 counter. Besides being a blocker, this card also has the on-play effect that makes it where none of your characters can be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn. You then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. A searcher, a blocker, and a buff, all in 1 card. The Smoker from Starter 6 is 5 cost and 7k power. He can't be KO'd by effects, and if you attach a Dawn to him and there is a character with a cost of 0, he gains double attack. So if you swing at your opponent's leader and they don't have a blocker or counter for it, you're taking away 2 of their life cards, because you can swing twice. Plus, with that Dawn attached, he's at 8,000 power. Sakazuki has a cost of 6 and 7,000 power. He's from OPO2, and on play you can trash 1 card from your hand to be able to KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Isho is from OPO3, cost 8 and has 9,000 power. On play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. If you attach 1 Dawn to him during your turn, you give all of your opponent's characters -3 to their cost. This is great if you have multiple characters with effects that let them KO characters with a certain cost, because you can get everyone your opponent has out down by a good bit. Stack that with other cards that lower their cost and you are golden. Last up, we have the 8 cost, 9k power Gecko Moria from OPO6 that on play lets you choose up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less and 1 character with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. You play 1 as active and the other rested. Another great way to get cards you weren't quite done with out of your trash and back onto your board. If you choose to do a 4 cost and a 2 cost, you're getting 14 Dawn worth of cards out on the board for 8 Dawn. Plus, you get the on-play effects from those cards from your trash again. And that is all the upgrade cards we're going through for this deck. This is a super fun deck for people who like building up on combos and taking out their opponent's cards with effects as well as attacks. Now, let's get on to opening up that pack and see what goodies we get today. Remember, we put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plus shorts on Sundays. And right now, we're going through starter decks 15 through 21 on Mondays and Fridays. If you've missed any of our previous starters, we've got a playlist with them all in order. We'll have the Yellow Katakuri starter deck 20 on Friday, and next Monday we're going to take a look at the new starter deck 21. We also have some fun Pokemon and Lorcana videos you can check out. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your local card shop. It really does help out. Ooh, we got the Anildon this time. That card girl out.